of you to this special broadcast today. And today being the 21st of August 2022, thank you all for joining. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and I'm grateful that we are all seeing a new week. Every week that comes, every day that goes by, every moment of the time that passes actually brings us closer to our freedom, and we are certain that we are going home. I want to welcome you. Thank you for joining. Please also share this video so that people can hear the news, the good news, far and wide. You know, we are making success, we're making progress, and it is very good. It is marvelous that God is helping us, and Chukwu Okike Abiyama is strengthening the movement and moving us closer to our victory and success. And very soon we're going to be in our country, in our nation, and we'll be celebrating the goodness of Chukwu Okike Abiyama, Elohim, who has given us the opportunity. Thank God for the success of yesterday's sit at home. And some of you will be wondering, what are you talking about? Yes, it was very, very successful. But as we go on in this broadcast, as I go on with it, you'll begin to understand clearer and get a vivid picture of what I'm talking about. It was a huge success. It was a deliberate, program and plan by Chukwu Okike Abiyama to reveal so many things to us, so that we'll be able to understand what it is. It's just like when Moses, threw the rod on the ground, so that on the floor, so that Pharaoh could see the marvelous work of God, so that he would let the people go. And as soon as Moses threw it down, and his rod swallowed the rod of which became a snake anyway, and swallowed the rods of the Philistine. The magicians of Pharaoh, and he took it up again and all of that. He thought that as soon as he does that miracle, Pharaoh will be shaken. Pharaoh will be shaken, and then Pharaoh will allow the people to go. But it's obvious that as soon as he did that, Pharaoh's heart became hardened. But it only proved one thing, that all that is required is for the power of God to manifest. And it only proved one thing: the deliverance of Israel was close, because it only was left with 9 other signs and miracles for the freedom to come. So we have taken this other sign, and which is the sit at home of yesterday. The reason why yesterday's sit at home is different from the other sit at home is because it concerns the actual program in which the zoo and the enemies use as a means of instituting slavery and keeping us bound, in the circumstance of slavery, so that we continue to be subjugated. The reason why yesterday's sit at home was a different task beyond the other sit at home, that has we've been holding for the past 1 year, is because the yesterday's sit at home was actually a gross evidence and a proof that we actually touched them where it is actually the weak point. That is the center in which they're using holding us together. One thing you should understand is that election is actually the main weapon for continuous subjugation and continuous slavery. Anytime you find an election coming, they guard it with all their hearts. They follow it up with everything they have. Every wickedness in them, every evil within them. You know why? Because election validates every 4 years of subjugation. Anytime you go out and you endorse somebody as to lead you and to rule you in a dispensation of election, you have already validated the tenure of another subjugation, the dispensation of another subjugation, which means that you have already given yourself over to become slave for another period of time until the next electionary section period. So that is the difference between the sit at home we've been having all this while and the sit at home of yesterday. Now, let me tell you why it is successful. We've been having sit at homes and they've been successful. Now, this is another sit at home that touches that covenant that we always keep on for our subjugation, which is election. Election is a covenant. Anytime you go into election, you have already made a covenant to subject your freedom to the will of the politicians and the British for another 4 years. That means you are telling them that, please rule me for another 4 years. I subject myself. I give my all to you for another 4 years to enslave me. That is why you see that we are not, accommodating elections, because election is actually, especially when the election is within the confines of this contraption, Nigeria, and this illegal system that is on, the elections are actually not very, very critical to us and important to join, and they are actually forbidden because they actually validate, our slavery. And anytime you go out and say you are electing anybody for another 4 years, you're actually saying, please, we are your slaves again for another 4 years. Rule us in the contraption Nigeria for another 4 years and keep us in slavery for another 4 years. And then another 4 years you resume and you recap and you revitalize by another election. You keep doing it every 4 years. That is, you keep endorsing them to keep subjugating and enslaving you. That is why they do everything to make sure that the election holds. Not because they are interested in your well-being, not because they are interested in what happens to you, not because they are interested in you having a good life, but because they are interested in making sure that that mandate of stealing, ruling you, stealing from you, taking what belongs to you, killing you, subjugating you continues. And once you give them that power by election, by endorsing them, by participating in election, you've actually given them the opportunity to subjugate you and to keep you bound in slavery. And so that is why we are always. Let me tell you, the sit home and the success it's recorded today. Very huge success. Before we go into that, I'm going to talk to us about something very critical. If you remember one time, that was in the year 2020 or so, Mazi was endorsing Mazi Simon Ekpa as someone who is bringing a new dimension into the system, into the plan and program for the cause of Biafra freedom. He said, listen to him and share his videos wide, share his messages wide, and he is doing absolutely fantastic job. Absolute, he said absolute. The word absolute, of course, talks about a whole, complete, perfect in the sense of humanistic operation and in the sense of natural operation, natural processes. Perfect, that's what it means. Absolute, that means it is complete, it is whole, it has no minus, it is complete. He said he's doing absolutely fantastic job. And what that simply means is that the job that Mazi Simon Ekpa was actually doing then was absolutely fantastic. And he couldn't have endorsed someone who is actually not on the path of truth. Now, the truth here is this. If you observe that preaching of Mazi Simon, that period when he was talking about Mazi Simon Ekpa, he actually mentioned some names of people. Some of us who are psychological, if you are thinking, if you're wearing your thinking cap, you will understand something. When he was making that particular broadcast, that he was endorsing Mazi Simon Ekpa, he said, share his videos wide, listen to him. He's bringing a new dimension into this. He's doing a marvelous and fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic. He used the adjective. He said, absolutely fantastic. Now, the reason, why he said that was because he saw what he was doing. Now, let me tell you something about that video. If you observe, Mazi Simon first mentioned some people. He said, listen to this. He mentioned somebody else. He says, you must listen to this. Somebody else. He says, you must listen to this. Then when he got to Simon Ekpa, he now said, you must listen and share his video because he's bringing a new dimension into this struggle and he's doing absolutely fantastically well. He said it absolutely. Absolute job, which means that the reason for that publication was not Mazi Simon and his man wanted to talk about these other people he was mentioning. He talked about other people, he said, listen to them. But if you observe critically, if you're somebody who is psychologically upright and your psychological mind and thinking, you'll know that broadcast was actually meant to endorse Mazi Simon Ekpa. It was not actually to talk about other people. The reason why he mentioned other people was because he saw that, he knows the level of sabotage and he knows the level of envy, jealousy, wickedness in these people. So if he doesn't mention some of their names, alongside trying to get to the point where he was actually going, which is Simon Ekpa, he would have succeeded in getting the people to create a kind of wicked thought and action. So he didn't want that reaction from them. He didn't want them to feel bad. He mentioned them, and then he mentioned Mazi Simon Ekpa. The target, the main reason for that broadcast or that publication or that message was Mazi Simon Ekpa. Now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is actually who has the ideology of this movement, who actually has the concept of this movement, and he really represents the fullness of what this movement is all about and the freedom movement is all about, who is the absolute person and who is the command in this system, because everything he has, every of his ideology is the command that guides this movement of IPOB. Now, when you hear of command and control simply means command is the ideology that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has for the movement, for this liberation movement. The command is the actual ideology behind the movement. The control is the instrument which is being used to carry out the command. So when you hear of command and control, you are talking about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being the command. That means a cynosure of the movement. Everything that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu believes in, including the issue of getting weapons to defend ourselves, including the issue of getting these people out of our farmlands, dealing with these Fulanis, fighting back, including the concept of raising the dragon flag, which means that you have decided to defend yourself with arms. All of that is in the concept of command. Now, when you come to the issue of control, the control now is the system or the people who are used to execute this command. And when you want to know the leader who is actually saying what he wants to say at a particular time, it is when he is in trouble. As soon as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu got into trouble, the first thing he uttered was that Mazi Simon Ekpa should be given the slot and permitted to go on Radio Biafra, which means that since my voice is no more heard in Radio Biafra, Mazi Simon Ekpa's voice should replace my voice in time. What happens to me, his voice now takes control. Of course, I know I'm going to return. I know I'm going to come back. God is going to lead me because I have prophesied before that I'm going to lead the army into the freedom. But Mazi Simon Ekpa should take. So the broadcast, that moment, was actually for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to introduce Mazi Simon Ekpa to us. That was why he made that broadcast. He now said, listen to him, share his videos far and wide and all of that. Now, the issue of the sit-at-home yesterday, which was announced by the spokesperson of Biafra, Mazi Simon Ekpa, yesterday, was actually the voice of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu being represented by the spokesperson. Because as soon as he gave him that mandate to go on, he actually, was proven, he was actually, thank you, Kia. Thank you for the flower. Thank you so much. I appreciate. Thank you so much for the flower. Thank you. Now, and so, when we talk about the sit-at-home of yesterday, I told you as I began this broadcast, I said that the heartbeat of every politician, especially those ones who actually have, of course, every politician we are talking about here, the heartbeat of any system is in election. Election endorses their power. Election gives them the ability to rule you and keep you on. Now, the reason why they went all out to defy the sit-at-home yesterday was because they wanted to make sure that they carry out what they want to carry out. Now, if you observe yesterday, you will discover if you go to social media, you go to the platform, you will discover that those so-called people who are saying that they are fighting for freedom were excited. Now, get it. They were excited that Mazi Simon Ekpa gave order for sit-at-home and the rally still was held. Oh my God. Now, that tells you the level of evil in the minds of these people who call themselves so-called freedom fighters. Somebody makes an order to stop an election that will institute a system of continuous subjugation, slavery, and control over the children of God, like we are. and you say you are a freedom fighter, and you are jubilating that the election rally by Peter Obi still was held. I can't get it. Please, let's reason this together. They say they are freedom fighters, and they were jubilating all over social media. How else would we say that the sit-at-home was successful, the order was successful? It was successful because it has made us now to prove by themselves. We have been able to prove by their error. Now, it's just like the issue of that woman, in the Bible, in the book of, 2 Samuel, that, whose baby died, and she took the other person's baby, and they brought it before Solomon. Solomon said, what we have to do in this matter is that since you people, we don't know who owns this baby, and two of you are claiming to own this baby, then what we are going to do is that we are going to divide this baby, give you half and give you half. Now, you know what the foolish woman did? The one who, because she's not smart, because she knows she doesn't have, the baby doesn't belong to her. She wasn't smart. The first thing she did was, hey, yes, let it be like that after all, and let us all lose. Now, you see, anytime you want to catch people who are not genuine and true, put up something that will look like it is going to disrupt the whole thing and nobody's going to benefit. Now, when Mazi Simon Ekpa called for the sit-at-home, they were already biased, they were already feeling bad, they were already angry. They are looking for a way, but of course, you know that their movement and their fight has been against Mazi Simon Ekpa all this while. All they have been doing, their so-called freedom fighting skill and all of that is on Simon Ekpa for the past 1 year plus. Every of their posts, check their posts, 98% of their posts is about Mazi Simon Ekpa. 98% of their posts, Simon Ekpa did this. Simon Ekpa, we are going to expose him. Simon Ekpa has done that. Simon Ekpa is this. Simon Ekpa is that. He's not obeying the command. He's not obeying the control. He's not. For God's sake, who is the command and who is the control? The command flows from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The command is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The command is the idea of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which is truth. Now, what is the idea of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? In all the period of the fighting, struggle for Biafra, when they were killing us, killed us, threw us in river, did all of that, Peter will be killing our people and put them in the river, and all the killings, and pork killing, and all the dragon flag was raised. That was the climax of the whole ideology of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. As soon as the dragon flag was evident that we have decided to pick up arms to defend ourselves and to take radical actions that will help us to get our freedom. That was why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said that this dragon flag that we have raised today is no more going to go down. And as soon as he raised it, ESN was formed. That means those who are holding their arms on behalf of Biafrans. As soon as that was done, he said that this thing will not go down until we get our freedom. The dragon flag will not go down until we get our freedom. Now, check it out now. As soon as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu did that, it was an ideology and a process to our freedom. That is what we call command. The attitudes of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and everything he institutes at a particular time is the sign of man of IPOB. So when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu raised the flag and said, this dragon flag is up, ESN is standing, they are doing the work, and our people are going to be taking our freedom in their hands this time around, since the international community is no more listening to us. As soon as that was done, it was that we are now ready to fight and do anything for our freedom, already killing us. So now, observe it now. Yesterday was the sit-at-home. And the people who said that they are under command and control couldn't obey the command of the dragon flag. Rather, they were fighting the person who was fighting to uphold that command of the dragon flag. What is the sit-at-home? What is the evidence of the sit-at-home yesterday? When you try to stop election in Nigeria, you are already for disintegration. That's just it. The only evidence, the proof you actually want this, when your action is touching on the important things that concerns your slave masters. When your actions is touching, when everything you are doing is affecting them in the core aspect of their control over you, which is one of them is election. The core aspect of these people's control over us is election. Because in every election, you come by yourself to endorse them. You take a PVC and you say, I want you to control me for the next 4 years. As soon as you give them that power, of course, you know, democracy is about government for the people, by the people, and for the people, by the people, and something like that. Yes. Please, is the sound, is my sound coming? Please let me know, please, if it is sounding out now. Am I getting sound? Am I sound? Please let me know. Please let me know if I'm sounding out, please. Please, am I sounding out? Please let me know if the sound is coming out now. Can you hear me, please? Just send me a message, please, if the sound is coming out now. Is there sound? Can someone send me a message that it's sounding so that I can continue? Or I use another to proclaim this gospel. I use another platform, another studio, please. Know if it's sounding, if it's not sounding, I just go off. It seems I have to go on another because this one, maybe the sound has been off for a while now and I can't. So I'll come back. I'll go on in another broadcast. Please pardon me for this one. I'm sorry.